Hi guys, my name's Ryan Terry. I'm an IFBB Pro from the UK. Hi guys, my name's Ryan Terry and I just want to welcome you to the ShapeYOU camp, which we've held over 2 days, and we're going to be showing you all about how I train, how Felix Valentino trains, nutrition, and just an insight into everyday life of an IFBB Pro. In the next part of the camp, we're going to be talking about nutrition. Everyone's different, everyone's metabolism's different, and what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. It's all about trial and error and getting used to what your body can withstand through protein, carbs and fats, which is your macronutrients.
So how important is nutrition?
Yeah, for me I believe it's 80%, so I'm a lot more than that. For me I've trained for 11 years now, and the first 7 years what we talked about was non-existent. I trained every day religiously, 5-6 days a week, bodybuilding split, but the nutrition wasn't there. I didn't understand the supplementation side of it, I didn't understand, again, like the food side. And it was only the last 3-4 years that I managed to get more knowledgeable, basically eat more food, and get my head around the nutrition side, and then everything fell into place. I can increase my weight, I can diet, I can increase muscle mass, lose fat, all through nutrition. So for me, 80% is definitely on point, and then obviously 20% is helping through training. For me, micronutrients are important. It's all about the minerals, the vitamins, fruit, vegetables, fibres, things like that. But for me personally, from personal experience, I will only ever look at my fats, protein and carbs. On contest prep, even when I'm not, when I'm just basically trying to do a little mini bulk phase, anything, it's all counts, everything counts macros wise. So for me, I favour a higher carb, lower fat kind of diet, which again obviously I have to work my macros out to fit me through more carbs, less fats.
Okay Ryan, what's the perfect ratio of macros?
For me,
percentage.
Yeah, it's working your percentages out. Again, like I've just said previously, I work on higher carbs and I work better on that kind of formula. So I've tried all different percentages, but I work on less protein as well. The most amount of my percentages are through carbs. So I'll have 50% carbs, so that's an energy source for me. So I have 50% carb, 30% protein and 20% fat. Like I say, people swap that around and have higher fats and whatnot, but over the years I've tried all different diets, and this for me works more effectively. And it's consistency as well, because I've done this now for 4 or 5 years, and I found my ratio early doors, and because I've had that for so long now, my metabolism's fired up and it works efficiently with those ratios, those percentages. The only time that will change, no ratios, if we're still talking about percentages, is obviously peak week. You know, before I go on stage, before I go on the show, obviously everything would change then, because I'm trying to get a better reaction, a fuller look on stage. So for me, I'd have to drop my carbs really low, deplete the body, deplete the muscles of glycogen, really flatten the body off to get and then have a mass carb up where it's near enough 70-80% for 3 days of carbs. By doing that, I get a better reaction and a fuller look on stage. So
before the stage?
Yeah, so it's in peak week, so the week before. So that's the only time it will change, those ratios. And the training change quite drastically as well. For me, off season, if I ever do a bulking phase, the meals will still stay the same, it's just the volume of the meals will be more. So the carb source will be a lot higher. I'll introduce carbs into the evening as well. But as far as like cheats and going mental on bad bulking and stuff, I've never advocated, I don't do that. I try and keep it as clean as possible all year, just to keep the metabolism active and fired up. And when you come to diet for a show, for photo shoot, anything like that, it's a lot easier for the metabolism to kickstart and fire and to lose the weight. If you're adding saturates and you're adding bad food constantly, you're going to slow your metabolism down and you're going to get stored fats, which are really hard to get off. So for me, I try and live the lifestyle all year round, and the bulk would be literally just adding more carbs to what is a clean meal.
What's your favorite long chain carbohydrates? You already said that.
Probably sweet potato, long chain. Yeah, I take that in an evening. Not like that. Yeah, sweet potatoes is my favourite long chain, and then obviously going into the likes of brown rice, things like that, white rice, white potato, and obviously short chains, sugars, it's fructose. But for me, I tend to take Vitargo. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, but it's a liquid carb, and it's extremely good for you. It's very fast absorbing. It's great for around training. Obviously, you want to, whilst you're training, you want to get the carbs, you want to get everything absorbing back into the system as quick as possible. So for me, I drip feed it whilst I'm training. It keeps me pumped for longer. My energy levels are a lot better. I'm not as fatigued as much. But for me, I would always have my carbs early on in the day. And when I start dieting, I literally start to take them out of my last meal. So I have 6 meals a day. And when I start to diet, the first part of carbs will go is the last meal before bedtime. And then that's what I'll keep doing, tapering down. So I'll always have carbs the first 4 meals, so I'll always have them into early evening, but then I do start to drop them out and increase my fats around that time. So I'm still getting an energy source through my meals, but I'm moving on to fats rather than carbs. Slower releasing, the fats are slower releasing than carbs, and it's a lot better for you at that time. At the minute, I'm taking 200 grams of carbs around training through liquid source, so I'm telling you, weren't I? So I take 50 grams Vitargo as well before training, 50 grams whilst I'm training, and then 100 grams post-workout. So if you're ever struggling to get carbs in, if you're ever bulking, or like say you can't get the amount of carbs your body requires in a day, always look towards a liquid source around training. It's easily absorbable, and it goes down quite easy. It's not as hard as a heavy rice meal or something. In the next part of the camp, we're going to be showing you how I train and effective methods of how to push through plateaus, such as time under tension training. We talk about 5-day splits, which I'm currently doing on my Olympia prep for the next 7 weeks, and all different types, things like that, and seeing what works for certain body types. I don't think, there's no such, in my eyes, there's no such thing as overtraining, but as long as you're having rest periods in between. Like, for instance, I would give myself 3-4 days between a muscle group to let it fully recover before I rip the 5 muscle fibers down and go again. Because I did this type of training on my abdominals when I first started training, because I was obsessed with getting a midsection. I trained them every day after a session. I used to, but I couldn't understand why people getting 3D blocky everywhere they walk, they're getting different vision. Whereas mine was just completely flat. I had them there, but there was no 3D effect. And it was because I was constantly keeping the muscle fibers ripped. So they weren't repairing, growing, and you rip and repair, grow and rip. So I was in, for a long time, I couldn't understand it. It was only when I got my head around it.
You're still training every day?
No, twice a week. Twice a week max.
Yeah. You go to
Yeah, it's good to change the exercise, but if you're on a plan like what you've got in there, the rep range needs to stay the same if you're on a specific plan. But it is always good to keep shocking the body with different exercises, and even if it's similar exercises, just swapped around. So if you're doing deadlifting one week at the end of a session, try it the next week at the start of a session. If you're trying to grow, obviously you go heavier weight, or effectively you go heavier weight, longer rest periods, so you're fully recovered before your next set. Whereas if you're trying to burn fat, you go into a more high intensity kind of stage, so you've got less rest periods in between it, and the weight's not as much, but it's high reps. Okay. For me, a lot of people, a lot of lads always ask me about getting an upper chest. Everyone always wants an upper chest. And it's inclined. Everything it's all inclined. And there's little things on the camp yesterday. A lot of people was asking about incline. So when we went into there, we was doing incline, but they were turning it into a flat bench machine because of where they were coming down on the chest and where they were putting that eye level on the bar. So when we go in there, we'll have a look at some of your techniques and to make sure you are hitting the top of your chest. And yeah, try every 2 weeks or every third week, try a full workout on incline. That's a great way of pushing through your plateau. And we'll do some time under tension as well. That's a good way, a really good way. Yeah, back there again is it's basically sectioning it off, trying to get 2 width exercises, all about thickness, lower back and upper back. Yeah, that's what I tend to work like that. I do most of my heavy lifting, my compound movements towards the end of the session. You know, I said I vary it. I do try to do that towards the end. It's always good for me. I always found a way of getting my lats was doing wide width pull-ups and closed width pull-ups for thickness. A lot of people shy away from that because it's own body weight, it's not weighted thinking, but it is actually a heavy weighted exercise. It's a great way to start a workout. Yeah, you can always progress by adding weight if you need to.
Also für mich ist immer so mal gut. Okay,
yeah, for me, I always wanted the caps on my shoulders. I wanted a really round, especially in men's physique, you always want width. So for me, I start a lot of my exercises with side lateral raises. A great great exercise for forcing blood into that muscle, forcing it to grow, or ascending sets like the dumbbells, side lateral raises. A lot of people do descending, whereas I would do ascending, which is brilliant, where you start with 3 dumbbell sets, so 10s, 12s, 15s. You go 20 reps, 15 reps, 10 reps say, and then partials. So like really heavy weight, we can hardly move. You've got to keep the tension on the whole time, not touching your legs, and you've got to keep tension on, force blood in there, and then back down the rack. That's 1 set. Try it if anyone of your training shoulders today. I found that really did cap my shoulders off. Obviously then I will go on to rear delts, hitting them, and I'll hit exercises for front as well. So 2, 2, 2, and then shrugs. Right guys, we've just finished the introduction on the camp, the gym. Talked about what people are trying to get out of the day, and now we're heading into the gym where we're going to be just looking at their training methods, their techniques, and if they want any help on trying to push through plateaus and things like that. So good day so far, and I'll see you in the gym. So your first pose is always face stand on. If you've not got a big taper, with your hips come slightly out, okay? So what you want to do, instead of standing straight on to the judges, if you stand slightly off, only slightly, yeah? No, not too much. So from there, you stand slightly off like that. That can be your front pose. It just gives you more of a taper, okay? So that's your front pose. Let's try the front pose there. So you've got to try and bring your lats out a bit more. So not too bodybuilding. Okay. There. Yeah. Okay. That's got to stay off. So you can't stand like that. So one hand on your hip there. Yeah. The other hand's just loose. Yeah. So like, try not to hunch forward. You're hunching yourself forward. Try to just stay there. That's it. That's better. So it's nice and relaxed. Okay. Just try it. Yeah, like that. Try not to move your hands. Nice and relaxed. I've just been showing a few of the guys how to pose for men's physique. For me, last year my posing wasn't great because I was too hard, so I've had a year out and I've been practicing quite a lot and done my research, which is key. Do a lot of research, look what that first place is in shows before you do your own show, and see what your posing compares to them. For me, some good tips are never ever try and tense your chest or your arms or anything like that. All the judges are looking for is a hard midsection, a tight midsection, but an effortless pose. So your chest striating and your arms bulging, that's not what the judges are looking for, and you will get marked down for that because they're trying to stay away from bodybuilding. So by crunching down on poses, that isn't men's physique, that's more bodybuilding. So that's a great tip, always practice that. And another one is before any show, or in the run up to a show, have at least 8 weeks practicing after every session. You only have to say 15 minutes after a session, but but make sure you're reiterating in your head and getting confident on your stage presence, because stage presence is a massive thing, and if you don't nail that, you can go from first to last place in the space of one transition. So it's really important to practice it, and that you don't get nervous. So when you're nervous on stage, you'll still remember your routine. So practice makes perfect, and they're the tips for posing that I would give. If you want to know more about me or Felix Valentino or any of the Team ShapeYOU athletes, look on www.shapeyou.de.